My name is Stephanie Comilang, and I'm a Filipino-Canadian artist working in the realm of film, video, and installation. I usually, as an artist, start from the place or the idea of home, and that comes from being the child of immigrant parents. My parents immigrated from the Philippines in the 1970s during the Marcos dictatorship. And in the 70s, when Trudeau was, when he had the policy of bringing in immigrants from all over the world, basically. So my parents came in the 70s, and me and my sister were born in Toronto. And so, yeah, it's just something that is common. I mean, this is common among children of immigrant parents, migrant parents who came to Canada, came to North America, came to wherever, and basically the idea of a home is something that I feel is something that is amorphous, something that shifts, and something that can mean many different things. So it's something that I've always thought about in my practice, and just, you know, growing up as a kid, what does that mean? What does it mean for the immigrant to move and then make space for themselves? So yeah, a lot of my work has to do with diaspora, migration, labor, and technology. It like points back to the idea of like this triangulation of home, because a lot of the work that I do, I shoot in the Philippines or somewhere else in Asia somewhere, and then I'll show it in Canada, and then I live in Europe, and then also I'll show in Europe. So it's like this thing where I'm like going here, but coming home here, and showing here, and producing there. So it's like really this like crazy mixed up, and that's kind of how I think many people work. And I think that's sort of stopped right now, you know. Things are becoming more intentional, things are becoming more local. We're thinking about, because you can't travel, you're just thinking about what you can use that you have already. I was commissioned to make a video by this curator, Chus Martinez, and TBA 21 out of Vienna. And they do something called the Ocean Archive, which is like a digital lab that fuses environmental advocacy, science, and art together. So, and the ocean. And so I was, you know, Choose was like, you know, we want you to make this thing, but we know you can't travel, so you can use, you know, footage that you already have, or you can use our archive if you want. And so at the time I was looking at I was sort of like glued to the stories of mariners who were stuck at sea and who couldn't return home, which was something that seemed so crazy to me. You know, these men who had already been traveling, who basically ship 90% of global trade around the world. They have contracts for 6 to 10 months of the year, and 400,000 of them are from the Philippines. So there's a huge migrant labor community who work as seamen. And so basically, like on the news, I was just watching these men who were literally on their ships in like the bay of their home country, looking at their home country, but they couldn't return to it. So that, I don't know, for me, that seems so intense and profound, you know, and strange to be able to see your home but not be able to return to it. So I made a video, a fictional video from the perspective of a Filipino seaman who was just basically staring at his home and can't return to it. And I remember like talking, because I did like an Instagram live talk with one of the other artists who was in the program with me, and she had seen the video and she was like, you know, it was so interesting to watch the video, because what's happening now in coronavirus is that everyone is stuck at home and can't leave their home, but you made a piece about someone who wants to return home but can't, who's looking at their home from afar. So, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I never really thought about that. But yeah, like again, returning to the theme of home and what does that mean, and you know, what does it mean for these men who are already uh, at sea for most of the year? And also, one of the things was that they don't have internet access on the ships most of the year, for a big part of the year, because they're at sea, and that's very difficult to get. So that was also something that was super interesting to me to think about. So that's sort of like um, the last thing that I had made in relation to COVID-19. How might art play a role in fostering solidarity during the pandemic? That's a tough one. I think like there needs to be money for like on all levels, for artists, for people that work in institutions, for, you know, like admin, for like for people that like clean the institutions. You know, they shouldn't be made redundant. All of these things are really important, and shows like there's like care in these places.